If it's Sunday, it is all but guaranteed that MAGA Republicans will be on the Sunday morning shows and they will be defending Donald Trump. And in doing so, doing a really bad and disingenuous job. Not that you can do a good job defending that criminal and twice impeached failed former president, but the person who stood out the most and just how much of a failure their defense of Donald Trump was Speaker of the House and Trump stooge Mike Johnson, who was shut down multiple times and really just looked tired and bored in his interview with George Stephanopoulos. He did not want to be there because, of course, he knows the truth, although he won't say it, and that is that Donald Trump is an indefensible person. And especially with the things that he has said this week, it was incredibly difficult for Mike Johnson, which made George Stephanopoulos' job all that much easier to call him out, to shut him up, and to shut him down. And we're going to do some of that here as well. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting the community that we're building on this channel and really means the world to me. Now let's get into this first clip right here.
But Mr. Speaker, you just said Democrats are. You said their rhetoric is inciting. We all just saw what both President Trump, former President Trump, and his son Eric said. Eric actually did specifically reference Democrats. He said they tried to kill him, and it's because the Democratic Party, they can't do anything right. Do you support those comments or not?
I don't know what Eric was saying because I only heard just a snippet there. I don't know the context.
You just saw it,
Eric
sir.
is very level-headed and a very intelligent person. I saw your clip of it, George. I didn't see the full speech. We need to all look at these things in full context. What they're referring to, though, is the absolute open attacks that have been engaged by Democrats against President Trump since the day he came down that golden escalator in 2016, okay? The lawfare is unprecedented. They've attacked him in every single way. They try to malign his character every single day. And the people have had enough of it. That's why you have these massive turnouts at the rallies. People have had enough of this. We need everybody on all sides to turn the rhetoric down, and let's have a debate about the records of these candidates, not the rhetoric. Let's talk about the policies, not the personalities. That's what the American people demand and deserve. These are serious issues the country's facing. We need to be talking about the ideas and the answers and the solutions to get out of them, and not all this other stuff.
So you're actually repeating the charge. And I don't know what more context you need. Here's exactly what Eric Trump said. They tried to smear us. They came after us. They impeached him twice. And then, guys, they tried to kill him. They tried to kill him. And it's because the Democratic Party, they can't do anything right. What more context do you need? Do you support that statement or not?
George, I'm not going to parse the language of what people say at rallies. I could give you pages and pages of crazy comments by the leading Democrats in this country. That's not what this is about. We have to talk about the greatest collection of challenges that this country's facing probably since World War II, maybe the Civil War. Let's put all this political nonsense behind us and talk about how we get out of this mess. And I believe the way we do, and I believe a large number, the majority of the American people understand, you have to put steady hands at the wheel. You've got to put President Donald J. Trump back in the White House because he will bring stability back. He will get the economy going again. He will restore our stature on the world stage. At a time where we're facing almost on the verge of World War III, you have got to get his leadership back in the White House. That's why the massive crowds are drawn to these rallies, and that's why I believe we're going to win in November.
Isn't that rhetoric the kind of political nonsense you're talking about?
Look, we're in an election cycle. This is a silly season, as they say. We're in the 30 days out from the most faithful election of our lifetime. Let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about our stability on the world stage. Let's talk about the rising crime rates and the wide open border. That's what the American people are concerned about, not all this other stuff. I mean, I've been traveling.
Not really a shock to me that all Mike Johnson would be doing there is dodging questions and blaming Democrats, but it's so funny to me that in the same breath, and maybe it's not funny as much as it is sad, but in the same breath as Mike Johnson says, oh, we have to tone down the rhetoric. That's what's causing this political unrest, all of this division. First of all, you're responsible for it. But he then turns around and says, well, Democrats are the one doing it, and they're a threat to democracy, and they're attacking Donald Trump, and they're putting him in danger, and we should put them in danger. What is wrong with these people? And what is wrong with their constant use of they? They tried to kill Donald Trump. They are coming after him. We know what you're insinuating, and it is incredibly dangerous language. And again, to return to this conversation about rhetoric and political violence, when you say that Democrats are putting Donald Trump in danger, his crazy MAGA supporters will want to respond. We saw them do so on January 6th. And of course, Donald Trump was thrilled on that day. And I'm sure he'd be thrilled if it happened again. So we have to do everything we can to call out that rhetoric, call out that language, and shut it down, because it is so incredibly dangerous. But of course, that doesn't stop MAGA Mike Johnson from lying some more like he did right here.
So it's very clear you're not going to condemn the baseless suggestion the Democrats are behind the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. I want to ask you another question.
There's so many. Please, anything else?
Well, you have the opportunity to condemn it if you want. You have that opportunity, but we can move on now. I do want to ask you a question that Senator Vance did not answer at this week's debate. Can you say unequivocally that Joe Biden won the 2020 election and Donald Trump lost?
See, this is the game that is always played by mainstream media with leading Republicans. It's a gotcha game. You want us to litigate things that happened 4 years ago when we're talking about the future. We're not going to talk about what happened in 2020. We're going to talk about 2024 and how we're going to solve the problems for the American people. I think this game that's played all the time, I'm not going to engage in it. We're not talking about that. Joe Biden has been the president for almost 4 years. Everybody needs to get over this and move forward. That's what we need to talk about. What happens on November 5 and the days after that? I think that's really important, and that's what the American demand for us to talk about.
So like Senator Vance, you cannot say unequivocally that Joe Biden won the 2020 election and Donald Trump lost?
George, I'm the Speaker of the House. I work with the President of the United States all the time. Joe Biden has been the president for 4 years. There's not a question about this, okay? It's already been done and decided, and this is a gotcha game that's played, and I'm not playing it. I want to talk about the future. Let's talk about policies. Ask me anything you want on any challenging issue. Let's put that out there for the American people. That's what they need to hear.
Well, it's President Trump who every single day, former President Trump, at just about every rally is saying that the election was rigged, that he won, and that Joe Biden lost. I'm just saying if you accept that or not.
George, I'm not going to play the game. Ask me any question on any issue that's facing the country. They're some of the biggest issues that we face. How about another hurricane headed toward the country? How about Israel being fired upon by Iran? How about the rising crime rates that have everybody alarmed around this country, and the cost of living because hardworking families can't afford to do it? We have.
How sad is it? How unbelievably disappointing that we have a Speaker of the House who can't say that President Biden won the 2020 election. Now, of course, he knows that President Biden won the 2020 election. He knows it. He knows it's true, but he won't say it. I really wish that MAGA would, instead of just trying to beat around the bush and evade these questions, I wish they would play dumb by just saying they're dumb. Just like, oh, I don't know how elections work. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just like, you look ridiculous already. Why not admit to how ridiculous you are? But no, they're going to try to evade the question, say that there were irregularities or that they're non-citizen voters on the voting roll. That's not true. Do you know where there was election interference, by the way, though? Well documented. It was Donald Trump with his fake slate of electors in Pennsylvania and Arizona and Georgia. Those were the election interference instances. It wasn't Joe Biden. Wasn't Kamala Harris. It was you, Mike Johnson. It was the rest of your MAGA movement in the House. But of course, Mike Johnson would never say that. He would never admit the truth. And it's exactly what we saw more of in this clip right here.
Relevant is because of what former President Trump says at every rally. He's also laying the groundwork to challenge the results this year if he loses. Let's look at this.
If I lose, I'll tell you what's possible, because they cheat. That's the only way we're going to lose, because they cheat. They cheat like hell.
Is that what you believe? The only way that Donald Trump loses is if the Democrats cheat?
Donald Trump's going to win. I'll tell you that election security is a major concern of the American people. All these cities I've been in, hundreds of places doing campaign rallies over the last several months.
Once again, they are doubling down. And this is not called out nearly enough, so I'm glad George Stephanopoulos kind of pressed him on it. I would have liked to see just a little bit more of that call out, but we continue to see Donald Trump and Republicans sow doubt about the results of the upcoming election. They're already trying to say that, oh, Democrats are going to cheat. We're so focused on election integrity. We care more about that than voting. Of course, Donald Trump continues to do his shtick that if Jesus was counting the votes, he'd win California. But we can't just laugh at this and call them ridiculous for saying it. We have to point out what it is. An attempt to attack our election even earlier than Donald Trump tried to in 2020. And that is incredibly dangerous. We cannot let them sow doubt. We cannot let them say only if it's a free and fair election, because it will be a free and fair election, because it was a free and fair election in 2020. And the only people trying to interfere with that, by the way, are Republicans. They are the only ones, like I said, who tried to interfere with the 2020 election, and they will be the only ones, when Kamala Harris wins, who will try to interfere with the outcome of the 2024 election. And so we have to start calling them out now. We have to start preparing now to make sure Republicans cannot attack our democracy again, because we know they want to. Donald Trump doesn't think he can win the votes. He wants to try to win in the courts. We can't let that happen, and we're going to keep calling that out on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.